This is assignment number 8. In this assignment, we're going to use the code that you previously wrote in assignment number 7. So open that back up and copy all of that code and paste it into a new window. You're going to call this file com_func. So go ahead and save this as a new file. This assignment is going to focus on what are called functions. Functions can be used as building blocks to build up a communications system later on. So to learn how to use functions, we're going to start with something we already know how it works correctly, which is the last assignment. At the top of the script file, I want to place what is called a global variable. So I'm going to type this in. This creates this variable name to be globally seen by every function, and now I'm going to split this program up into 4 different functions. The first function, I want it to take this variable with the character array as an input through the function to give me this command_num array of just the numbers that have decoded this right 0, right 1, left 1, right 0. So I look at my code where that is located, and I recall that it is this for statement. And so the syntax to create a function is given in the assignment. So I'm going to go to the assignment and copy and paste the first function. So it says function is the name, and then you're going to add the comments right after it. You typically always want to put functions at the end of your script file, so these are going to be my function definitions. So I paste this, and I am going to add the word return. Whenever I create a function, I need to end the function by typing the word return. So that is the function syntax. What is going to happen in between that is that my inputs are going to be operated on in any way I want. If I just want to add them, subtract them, multiply them, basically manipulate the inputs to be able to achieve the task of the function, and it will give me the output, which is located here. So the function syntax is your output is equal to the function name, and then in the parentheses are all your variables. You can have none, you can have 1, you can have 30, whatever you need to be able to do whatever the function needs. So function performs one specific task. In this case, it's going to convert the strings that are in that command string into the 0, 1, 2, 3. So I need to go up in my file and locate where that happened. So I'm going to take this section of code, I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to take this section of code and copy and paste it into the function here. Once I paste it, I need to change my names. So I'm going to leave a little space here, and I am going to I'm going to copy and paste. This is called the function call. This is going to be in the main lines of code. So I'm going to place this in the location where I just copied and pasted. So I'm going to erase it up here, replace it with that one-line statement, and then I'm going to go down and I'm going temporarily paste it right above my function. I'm going to do this so that I can correct my variable names. So I see here that the differences between these two is that my command_str now has a different name within this function. So I'm going to copy this name, and everywhere I have command_str, I'm going to replace it with this new variable name. And likewise, I'm going to look at the output name. So here I have command_num, And my function itself uses this variable name. So everywhere I have command underscore num, I'm going to replace it now with this new variable name. You can also do a find and replace, but you want to be careful so that you don't change above. You only want to change it within the function itself. Once I have replaced all of those, I need to make sure to erase this function call so that it doesn't call it twice. And also because it would be located in the wrong position of the code. So here's my first function. It should take in the array that had the right one, zeros and left in it, and convert it into the 3, 2, zeros, and 1. The next part of the code here creates the round array to create the code words. So I'm going to leave that to be just the same in the code. Next I want to take though this code word and the command num and utilize this as the index into my code words to create that 48-bit long data sequence that I was going to send. So that's going to be the next function. So again, it's located in the description of the assignment. So I'm going to go down to the next function call, and I'm going to again copy it, go to my editor, and now below the last function I'm going to paste this part, and again type in return, and I'm going to go up and locate the code above that does this. So here's the round array, and here's the creation of the code words, and now this is where I look up the code words for the numbers in the command. So I'm going to copy and paste that code here, and then I'm going to temporarily copy and paste the call to the function just right above it. Again, this is just temporary to get the names of my variables correct. So before I forget, I'm also going to paste it up where I erased it from the main code. So going back down, I need to change the variable names. So here I see that my output name above was command code. Here is coded bits. So everywhere in my code I just pasted, I need to change it to read coded bits. Here for the inputs, I have code words, but here it's called code words matrix. So I need to make sure to change those names. And I forgot to change one of the command underscore code, so I'm going to do that because I noticed it now. And I need to check the other variable. This name was called command underscore num, and this one is called com num array. So I need to use the com num array instead. So I copy and then I paste over so that I get my variables right. I then erase this, and I'm going to look at what the next function does. So the output from that last function gave me this command underscore code, which was a 48-bit long sequence of data that contained the encoded right, left, 1, 2, and 0. So then I had noise. So then there was noise, and that was added into the command code to get command receive. Here, it was then to strip off the 6 bits and convert that back into a number, and then from there it was converted into the name right, left, or 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be split into two functions. The first function is actually going to take this data that was received with the noise and convert it just to the command underscore num. So it's going to strip off 6 bits at a time. It's going to decode the 6 bits each word length at a time into this command underscore dec, which will have the numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you will end up after this function on the command underscore dec. So this function is going to be called com underscore num com underscore array. And I'm going to copy and paste it again at the end of the file. I'm going to have return in between. And I'm also going to copy and paste the command line so I can get my function variable names correct. So now I want to go up in the code itself and determine where this is. So as I go up, this was the big for loop that was used to process the received code words that had the extra noise added into them. So I'm going to paste the command here, and then I'm going to copy and paste this code inside the function itself. Now remember, in our previous assignment, we incorporated in the same for loop the case switch statement, which also decoded the command dec was what ended up having that line of 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then this was what actually translated those numbers back into the words. So I am going to copy this, and for now I'm going to put it outside because I will put this in the next function. So up here I want to make sure that I change all of the variable names. So I look here. I'm first going to change the input variable names. So here, everywhere it says code words, in my code I want to make sure to change it to say code words underscore matrix. I also want to change everywhere that it says command underscore receive, I want to change it to say coded bits. So that is going to be my temporary variable for command underscore receive. So I want to change all those. I also want to make sure to change the output variable name. So the output variable name is going to be com num array, and I want it to be the horizontal array of numbers. In this function it's called com underscore num underscore array. So I want to change that. And the output of this previously was command underscore dec. The last function takes the command numbers and processes them into the command string of the left, right, 0, and 1. So to do this, again, I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to paste it right above the switch statement I earlier put below the rest of the functions. Again, I'm going to type return to finish out the syntax of the function. And I'm going to go to the top of the function and copy and paste the call to the function. I'm going to copy and paste the function call. I'm going to also go up to the top of before my functions. And here, this processed the received code words, but it only processed it into command numbers. So I want to make sure to paste this next section, which processes the command numbers into words. In the previous function, we took this switch statement out of a for loop, and so we need to make sure that we put it back into a for loop. So what we want the switch statement to do is to go through the array of the command numbers, which is the com num array. And so I am going to have an index from 1 to the end of this array. And the switch variable will actually be this with the index changing each time. So this value will then come in and it will be either 1, 2, or 3. It will come through the switch statement and set the right variable, and then it will keep appending it onto this command string receive. So the other variable that I need to make sure that I get correct is this com string array. So this will be defined as a global. So I need to make sure that this local variable, the com string array, so this is going to be the output of my function. So I'm going to copy and paste these. So here we see that this just keeps appending on the new 0, 1 left or right. So I file save. And I can clear all. And I can clear the workspace, and then I can diary on. And this is a very common error that you're going to see. What has happened is when you define the functions in the file, you also need to define the function at the top. So I need to put the actual word function, and I do it without the .m. So again, I save it. Okay, I have another error, and I can click on that to have it bring it right up to where that error is. So it doesn't like the syntax of end. So length is another variable that, or function that I can use. So length is another function I can try here instead of end. And I need to make sure that I match the for with an end. So now I'm going to try and debug. So it starts out with command underscore str. And then it should translate, the first function translates this right, left, 0, 1 into the 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I see here that my com num array and my temporary variable of 3 should be recording in this, but it is not. So I am going to look at my code a little bit more carefully in that area and see why it is not appending it. Here I see that I forgot, I don't have it. I want to keep appending on the temporary variable com underscore num. So after debugging and saving the file, I can type diary on the com func and diary off. And glancing through this output, I see that my command string gets changed into this command num, and it looks right, 30312130. Random array to create this 4x6 code words, and then I should be able to have the code bits created correctly. It should be getting the 4th row, which it is, and then after the 4th row it should grab these next 6 bits and comparing them. It looks like that's actually the number 1, so it should be 4, 1. That's a way to start. And then that 1 needs to take off 4, you take off 1 to get 3. And 1, you take off 1 to get 0, so that the com number A goes from 0 to 3. And that will go through all of them until it becomes empty. And then I want to take this array of numbers and translate it back into the words. And I see that it is doing it. And in the end, it looks the same. That's the conclusion of assignment number 8.